I say often that one of the great things about South Dakota and that extends into the Midwest and Iowa is we're really about neighbors helping neighbors.
Mhm.
And when we see somebody challenged or struggling, we want to make sure that we help them too. And that really just clearly rolls over into the Roundup campaign.
Yeah, when those floods happened, the
Mhm.
summer of 2024,
Yeah.
um, we stepped right in.
Yeah.
We were right there in the heart of it, McCook Lake,
Mhm.
devastation.
Mhm.
And we're still reeling from that, but we fed everybody. And some people still aren't in their homes and they'll call and say, hey, our oven's still not working. You know what? We got you.
Yeah.
So we just make sure the community knows that we're going to be there for them, even a year and a half later. We're going to continue to be there for you and support you in any way we can.
I think that's really an example of how food insecurity or hunger can be situational and it can happen to anyone unexpectedly. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't ever want to think about all the worst case scenarios that could happen, but it does happen.
Yeah, I mean, these people, a lot of them, they were in retirement, right? This was the
Yeah.
rest of their life.
Yep.
They never probably thought that they were going to be in that
Yeah.
position.
But to your point, it's a year and a half later
Hmm.
and it's still lingering for
Yeah.
some people, which again, we'll have people comment to us about somebody's there every month. Well, it could be every month for 2 years
Hmm.
or a year, but it just means that that need is still there. And we need to be able to provide for that when we can.
Right.
Welcome to this week's episode of 50 Faces of Feeding South Dakota. We're glad you've been joining us for this series where we're hosting conversations with people who have been influential on the fight against hunger here in South Dakota. As with every week, this week is no exception with this incredible person that we're having conversation with, talking a little bit about why fighting hunger is so important to her company and the creative way in which they've been able to support the organization. Without further ado, Jana, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Stacy. I'm so happy to be here and honored to be here to represent Casey's. Um, we love helping. That's what we do as a
That's
community.
a great slogan.
It is, we're here for good,
Yeah.
you know. And I've been with the company about 6 years now. Worked my way up from a part-time cashier to a district manager. And when I became a store manager in our North Sioux City, South Dakota area, we really saw the need to make sure when we were doing the campaign funding and stuff that we asked everybody, and it's really helped out the community, and everybody is more than willing to give. And it's just been such an impactful thing, not just for that community, but for the whole state of South Dakota.
So you've made moves within your
Yes.
organization.
Yes.
What was it about Casey's that compelled you to keep going and keep advancing within that company?
The core values of
Mm,
Casey's, they're true to their word. They care. They
yeah,
care about the team. They care about the community. And that's a big part of why.
sure. Well, my first interaction with Casey's in Feeding South Dakota was a little concert with Lee Bryce,
Oh, yes.
which was post COVID, like barely post
Yep.
COVID at the district here. And I think there were a total of 100 people invited. So for me, it was the coolest concert ever because it felt like a very private concert. But I remember that summer, every time you filled up at the pump, you had a chance to win a concert in your community to benefit a nonprofit of your choice. And Feeding South Dakota was fortunate enough to have the new manager at Shields select Feeding South Dakota as his charity and brought Lee Bryce to Sioux Falls. So that was pretty great.
That is pretty fantastic. Yeah.
But you have kept that now, not concerts, but you've
Hmm.
kept that support going with a roundup at the register. And I think a roundup probably isn't unfamiliar to our audience, right? I think almost anywhere you go, you have the option to round up for any given reason. But tell us a little bit about how that got started with Casey's.
It's such a good way for Casey's to be able to reach everybody, not just a small part of the community,
Hmm.
because you have people that travel that stop at Casey's. We're reaching across America, even
Yeah,
though our stores aren't across
that's
America,
really cool.
which is really fantastic. So these roundups are a good way. And as long as your teams are very educated on what the roundups stand for and can answer questions, it's amazing the impact of rounding up 3 cents can do.
Hmm. So, any thoughts on why fighting hunger is what's important to Casey's? And why they're
Um,
not just doing it by providing pizza to everybody? I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, I know. Casey's is really big on education, hunger, and serving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are three big things that we focus on all year. We
Okay.
do a roundup in March for Cash for Classrooms, And then soon coming up November, actually, we'll start our veterans campaign as well, which is
Okay.
another big one for us.
Nice.
We just want to help,
Yeah.
right? Casey started in small town America,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to stick to those roots and make sure that everybody knows that if you go to your local Casey's, we're here for you, we're here for the community, and we're here to stay.
I think what's really nice about that is just, I mean, we're in the 11th month of this podcast and coming to a close here pretty soon. But something you said just resonated with me, and that was small town community, because really through all of these conversations, that word community has just been woven in, whether we're talking about how we're serving tribal communities or how we're being supported by, I mean, we just did a podcast with runners, a running community who supported us, or our volunteer community that's bringing in work, or what are the solutions to hunger in rural America. It really comes into community. And so that I think that's probably a key piece of why your campaign is so impactful and important and successful, is because it's really about keeping it here, keeping it in the community, helping people who people see every day.
Yeah, it really is. And, the area I'm from is kind of a unique area because it's kind of a tri-state area. So we have
Hmm.
one food bank that helps out in 3 different states. So it's
Yeah,
very important to us as not just being in South Dakota, but Iowa and Nebraska too, that we're helping the whole Siouxland area
sure.
with our roundups and Feeding America
Hmm.
because our food bank is part of the Feeding America.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so true. I mean, when you support Feeding America, a lot of times those dollars come back locally, but they support the support that we're getting. How many more times can I say support? But that we get as a food bank from Feeding America, because they have just great resources and, bringing us together and elevating messaging and things like that. And that's really important to be a part of that and have that extra support to help make us successful as well.
Yeah, and it's not just, going to the food pantry and stuff like that. They help supply the stuff for backpacks
Hmm.
for kids, the weekend meals for those kids that might not get a weekend meal.
Hmm.
And I know there's more things in the works
Yeah.
going on in the Sioux City area for sure. So it's just so important that everybody gets a meal.
Yeah.
In North Sioux, we've always had the slogan, we're always feeding hungry Americans,
Mm.
whether they're coming in for a fresh slice, ordering pies, or they need some assistance,
Mhm.
we do everything we can to feed hungry Americans
Yeah.
one way or another.
Yeah. So a lot of the reason why you're here today is to talk about the roundup as a whole, but also about your really cool North Sioux City Casey's team and the efforts that were made there. Because after that Lee Bryce concert and the switch to the roundup, there was almost like a contest within the Casey's. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I took over the North Sioux City area, I said, guys, we're a big store, we're a busy store. We should always be top in roundups, right?
Hmm.
And they took it to heart. You don't know either who's in front of you or behind you in line that might need to go to that food bank
Right.
later,
Right.
or is a veteran, or
Hmm.
their kids' school struggles to get supplies. So we look at it that way,
Yeah.
and it could be somebody we work with. You don't
Mhm.
know. So I challenged them, and from day one I said, Feeding America, that's a big one, guys.
Mhm.
There's a lot of us out there that have used food banks in our lives, and you never know, right?
Yeah.
Things can change in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So nobody should go without a meal. And that first year, they just blew it out of the water.
They really did.
They,
So I
yeah,
don't have the numbers. I hope you do.
I've got some of the numbers here. I don't have the specifics for that store, but I know if I remember right, the first year that store alone raised over $6,000 in roundups.
That's in roundups in the span of
It's about a month.
a month.
Yep,
That's a lot of money in a month.
it is.
When you're talking about 10 cents here and
Mm-hmm.
71 cents or,
Yeah.
even 5 cents,
Mhm.
right? And then so they were the top store. So then we got to go down
Yep.
for a check presentation.
Yes.
And what was so cool is the cookies had
Yes.
our logo on it. They were Feeding South Dakota cookies. It
Yes,
was
so
so
that's
cool.
from Jenny Metz. She's our great cookie maker there. She's been at the company, I think, going on 18 or 19 years now. I'd say she's one of the best in the company. So whether it's the Veterans Roundup or Feeding America, she always tries to make sure whoever's coming for
Personalizes
something like
it.
that, we personalize it. So
Mhm.
because we're a small community and we want to make sure you guys feel that.
And then every year there's a race in Iowa.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about how that tied into all of it.
So part of it is when we're doing these roundups and stuff too, and you have like Are you talking about like the ragbri
Nope.
or which one?
There was a like an Indy. Is it an IndyCar race or what is it? I know. So I only know about it because only know about it. I know about it because Lori,
Uh-huh.
because your food. Maybe this was a Feeding America thing and not a
It
Casey's
might have
thing,
been, yeah.
which we could edit out.
Okay.
But the food bank who had the Casey's store that had the most Roundup
Mm-hmm.
went to this race in Iowa and
At
had a
the at Newton.
table.
Was it the one at Newton? In Newton? I mean, that's where the
Yes,
race was.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
And then there were concerts at
Yeah,
night
they
and
had
things like
concerts
that.
and stuff.
Did
Yeah,
your
so it was like a two-day type deal.
mm-hmm.
And it wasn't. It was for, I think, that local stores roundups. It wasn't for the
Oh,
winning store
gotcha.
because
Gotcha.
North Sioux did take first place again last year with, not that it's a place, but with Feeding America as
They
well.
raised the
So
most.
they did.
And how many Casey's locations are there?
I want to say we're over 2,900 now.
2,900 Casey's locations, and your store took top billing for Roundup monies raised 2 years.
Yeah, pretty fantastic team down there.
That isn't so. What's your secret sauce? Not the pizza secret sauce, but what's your motivating factor? I mean, you talked a lot. Just even telling me what you told your team
Mhm.
is very inspirational. But what do you think it was that just had them say like, let's do this?
You know, most of that team was with me when I was a store manager.
Mhm.
And now as their district manager, they're very proud of everything
Yeah.
they do in that store, and they should be. It's a great store.
Absolutely.
And they take it to heart. We have a lot of veterans that come in out of the community. We've seen where the money goes with Feeding America. We've seen
Mhm.
the impact on the company.
Mhm.
And it's a small community, yet it's by an interstate and by a lake, so it's kind of a unique area. And we get people from everywhere.
Yeah.
But every time they come in, it's just this hometown feel. And when it comes to being able to serve our community, we need them to know we are there for them.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to these roundups, the community is always willing to give back because they know that we're going to be there at any time.
So it's not just about your team being motivated and having the ability to quote sell.
Hmm.
It's about the community
Yeah,
being interested and want to help as well.
absolutely.
And I say often that one of the great things about South Dakota and that extends into the Midwest and Iowa is we're really about neighbors helping neighbors.
Hmm.
And when we see somebody challenged or struggling, we want to make sure that we help them too. And that really just clearly rolls over into the Roundup campaign.
Yeah, when those floods happened, the
Mhm.
summer of 2024,
Yeah.
we stepped right in.
Yeah.
We were right there in the heart of it, McCook Lake,
Mhm.
devastation.
Mhm.
And we're still reeling from that, but we fed everybody. And we continue to help with volunteering. We feed the volunteers. We make sure that they have water, they have whatever they
Yeah.
need. We fed a lot of people, and some people still aren't in their homes, and they'll call and say, hey, our oven's still not working. You know what? We got you.
Yeah.
So we just make sure the community knows that we're going to be there for them, even a year and a half later. We're going to continue to be there for you and support you in any way we can.
I think that's really an example of how food insecurity or hunger can be situational and it can happen to anyone unexpectedly. I
Yeah.
mean, you don't ever want to think about all the worst case scenarios that could happen, but it does happen. And
Hmm.
you may be somebody who thinks you'll never need a food pantry or a hot meal site or be challenged to access food and then your home dissolves into a lake during a flood or there's a
Hmm.
medical emergency or there's just so many things that could
Yep.
happen and really at the heart of it people can relate to needing food.
Yeah, I mean, these people, a lot of them, they were in retirement, right? This was the
Yeah.
rest of their life.
Yeah.
They never probably thought that they were going to be in that
Yeah.
position. So when we teamed up with the Isaac Walton League, when they reached out to us to make sure that everybody had food and water and anything they needed, we absolutely stepped right in, along with several other
Mm-hmm.
restaurants and stuff in the
Yeah.
area. But we continue to help and make sure they have what they need.
But to your point, it's a year and a half later,
Mhm.
and that it's still lingering for
Yeah.
some people, which, again, we'll have people comment to us about somebody's there every month. I
Mhm.
see people in your line every month. Well, it could be every month for 2 years
Mhm.
or a year, but it just means that that need is still there. And we need to be able to provide for that when we can.
Right.
So, as you were going through the roundup and the
Mhm.
fundraising, any challenges? Did you come across any challenges that,
The main thing was making sure the team is educated
okay?
on what the roundups mean. and where the money goes.
Sure.
And, a lot of people think that there's, these kickbacks and all this stuff.
Mm.
So it's very important that we educate each and every Casey's team member on the true meaning of these roundups. And once you do that, people understand. And when
Yeah.
they understand something, they're always willing to give
Mm-hmm.
for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So
So that was a pretty easy roadblock to overcome.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
It sure
great.
was.
That's great. So anything? Did you have any like surprises or things that were unexpected or that moved you from the community as you were doing this roundup?
It's just the best part about it is the community, we know them by name for the
Mhm.
most part now. 3 years ago,
The
I
people
couldn't
who
say
come
that.
in and round
Yeah,
up. Yeah,
3 years
yeah,
ago, I couldn't say that,
yeah.
right? But now there's a lot of familiar faces in a large area.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best part too is, the store manager Renee and her team. They have won the Heart of the Community Award the past 2 years in Casey's, for all of the donations and roundups that they get, and that's an amazing,
Yeah.
amazing accomplishment.
And it's because they've built a relationship and there's trust there. To your point,
Yep.
everybody knows and they're educated, and so the community trusts them and they know that what Casey's is doing is impacting the community. It's getting to the heart of the needs, and their money is doing great things.
Yeah, and it does, and they know that, and it's great to walk in that store. The atmosphere is just amazing, and you hear the team members joking around with the customers and
Yeah.
stuff. It is. It's just that hometown
Yeah.
feel that everybody wants to have.
How long has that Casey's store been there? Do you know?
I want to say it's probably been there maybe 6, 7 years. I'm not positive.
Oh no, you did the 6-7.
I know.
Oh, we got it
I
in.
know. And that was a new build. There used to be
Sure.
one there before that, but then they
Before
put
that.
that big truck stop in. Yep.
And I think what's incredible is that you mentioned like you're by an interstate. You get a lot of unfamiliar faces that come in, and yet you still have that kind of friendly hometown feeling.
Yeah, we do. Cute story was I was still store manager, so I think 3 years ago we had this couple come in. It was right before Thanksgiving, so travel's crazy, right? And they were from Canada, and they never had Casey's pizza.
Oh,
So I have a picture somewhere even with them eating their first slice of Casey's pizza, and then on their way back they came through again. So, and those are just fun
Yeah,
memories that we have,
that's great.
as a team. So
I hope they make it an annual visit, because I think a year without Casey's pizza would be about it for me.
yeah, I got to say the same, and I eat a lot of Casey's pizza.
You never get tired of it. Well, let's talk a little bit about the total amount of support. So, as a whole, I think you've got some numbers, right?
Yep,
Or am I
I do.
throwing you for a loop?
Nope.
So, talk a little bit about the total number of support, like what's been able to help with fighting hunger.
So for our fiscal year 2025, Casey's raised 6.6 million total in charities
Wow.
funding, and then donated 8.6 million through Feeding America.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's
it's a big
incredible.
number,
That's a
isn't it?
lot of money. And that all came from Roundup?
And then if you look here for like the South Dakota area, through the stores, it was 150,000.
Wow. That's awesome. That's really great. And in our world, every dollar helps us buy groceries to provide 3 meals. So you can take that 150,000 times 3. But you could even go all the way down to the level of the customers that are rounding up and say your 25 cents adds up enough to help us provide. What would it be? Okay, math is never my thing. 450,000 meals?
Yeah.
450,000 meals.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do after the fact? The campaign's over. Your team is awesome. We've come down. We've had a check presentation. Get to do all the celebrating. What do you do afterwards with your team?
We celebrate a little longer sometimes. They finish whatever cake is left over.
Yep.
And then we get ready for the next roundup
Yeah.
coming, We're always looking for the next way to help the community. So
I think that's so great, and they clearly don't fatigue of it.
no, they love it.
It's almost like it just drives them
Yep.
every time to do more and more.
It does, because they just want to be there for the community, because the community has helped some of our team members out as well in certain ways.
Yeah.
So it's huge.
And how about the team themselves? I mean, the celebrating is great, but what is their response when they're told that they, raised the most money in the region and they're part of this really great gift?
They're super excited about it, and we do like a little internal competition too. What cashier
Yeah.
can do the most,
Yeah.
And I think so far, 2 cashiers so far have reached over $1,000
Wow.
during some of these campaigns, and it's just asking.
Yeah.
You just have to ask and be educated on it. And then I give them a little gift card or something,
Yeah.
or they go out to eat with us or whatever the case may be. But, a little friendly competition never hurt. And then I do, have my other stores um, try to beat North Sioux.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there yet. But hopefully someday, I'd like to see District 7 be the top 12 stores in the whole company at some point.
It sort of reminds me of the Dairy Queen Miracle Treat Day,
Yes.
where nobody can beat Madison. I'm pretty sure it's Madison because they're just now everybody goes there to help them be the top store. So
Mhm.
yeah, you'll just have to find ways to motivate the rest of your team. And somebody once told me if you don't ask the question, the answer is always no.
That is correct.
So, there you go.
Yep. And the motivation's huge. Other districts, other divisions, their goal is to beat North Sioux, right? So the more that they push and the more we push, right? It's friendly competition,
Yeah.
but it's for a great cause.
Right.
And that's the main
It's a
thing.
healthy
It's a
competition.
great competition. Whoever wins, great. But no matter what, we probably raise more money due to having that healthy
Yeah.
competition and that drive as a company.
Well, thank you for being here and
Yeah.
sharing all of this with us today. You're clearly passionate about it, and I appreciate that because it takes that passion and that drive to move our mission forward. And you talk about having the next roundup and the next roundup, and you know, it sometimes feels in food banking like you just have the next challenge and the next challenge. And the thing that gets us through it is support from, people like you, people like Casey's, people like
Mhm.
your team. So make sure they know that it's meaningful and that we're able truly to put food out into communities because they asked the question.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we'll see you next year again.
Hey, I might drive down to North Sioux City just to round up while
You
I'm
should.
there.
They will make you probably. If they see you there.
Well, thank you for joining us again today. I hope that this was inspiring to you, that the next time you're at a register you're asked to round up, that you're willing to just bring it up to the next dollar to help whatever cause funds are being raised for. And know that when the Casey's Roundup comes along, right here in Sioux Falls, go in, do some roundup and supporting. Maybe we'll help Jana get her district up there into the top fundraising stores in the Casey's organization. Stay tuned for our final episode of 50 Faces of Feeding South Dakota coming up in just a few weeks. Thanks for being here today.